There we go, it's working. Right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. I can see there's a bunch of people in the chat. So yeah, welcome. We have a live stream today for you, and we have a special guest with me, somebody I've not chatted to before. So I'm really excited to introduce Rod, otherwise known as Pommy Pickers. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. We were just saying before, it's a bit of a mad rush to get here. I've been looking after my sister's twins and getting back, trying to set the stream up. And it's 6 p.m. here, but let everyone know what time it is where you are.
4 o'clock in the morning. This is how committed I am.
Well, thanks for joining me so early for you. Yeah. So have you had any kip? Have you slept at all yet tonight?
I had about an hour. About an hour ago. I was just feared to death that I'd not wake up. Yeah. And then you'd all be sat there waiting for me, and there I wasn't.
Well, if we have another one of these, we'll do it earlier, so it's not so criminally early in the morning for you. But yeah, welcome. I suppose I'd better do a few hellos. You can see the chat where you are as well, yeah?
I think so. Cool. Moment.
So welcome if you're watching us live. There is a live side chat if you want to pop any questions in for Rod. We'll try and get to those if we can. I'll just say a few hellos first. Lucy was in. Lucy's always an early bird. Michelle is in. Brisbane AU. Now, is that somebody you're aware of? Another Australian?
Well, firstly, I'm not Australian, as you can tell.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
Right. I've been speaking to that guy through your Facebook group. He lives in the town in the UK next door to the town I used to live in, where I was brought up. And apparently he lives, when he was in Australia, he lived more or less in the next town over here. It's a bit weird, really.
So he's in the UK now?
Yes.
You're down there and you were almost in the same places?
Yeah. Wow. So I think he lived over here a few years ago. I've never met him. I've just been chatting to him through your group. That's all.
Yeah. What are the chances of that? So yeah, welcome Brisbane AU. Then we've got John, Peter Ray is in, welcome. And a bunch of other people. I'm going to scroll to the end. Let me see if there's any questions before we... Oh yeah, he was just saying it's weird. He lives close-ish to where I lived when I was in Australia. Where I live in the UK now, he lived just a few minutes away. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah. What are the chances of that? Amazing. Okay, right. So welcome if you're joining us live. There's Gary, Adrian, LGG, lots of people popping in and saying hello. So do you want to explain, as you just said, you're not Australian per se, but you live down under, as it were. So what's the story then? When did you go down there and why did you go down there from the UK?
Well, I've lived here 10 years now. Basically, I have two kids. Two lads, one's nearly 19 now. The youngest is 16. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity for them to get here when they were younger, and just experience a different lifestyle. As a kid, I always remember in the UK there's a lot of rainy days, and yeah, you know, it's just the lifestyle really, more sunshine. Yeah, there's other issues as well. Political issues, but this isn't the forum for them. But yeah, about 10 years ago, moved down under, and I think I've been back to the UK once. That was when my mother was on her way out. So
okay,
yeah.
So you moved there. Is it just you and your two sons then, or are you with a partner there?
Oh yeah, me and Mrs. Two lads. Yeah. So I don't know why we ended up in Queensland. I think it was more by chance, really. We had friends over here, and it was just like putting on a pair of comfy slippers when we got off the plane, and sort of stayed here ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, whereabouts are you? So Queensland, for those of us that don't know the geography of Australia, whereabouts is that?
As you're looking at the map of Australia, it's on the east coast. Right. It's like Queensland's this big chunk here on the east. Yeah, it's like I said, they came over for the weather mainly, to give the lads a bit of I thought, a healthier start in life, because my youngest, he's lived here longer now than he has when he was in the UK. And yeah, certainly they've adopted the outdoor lifestyle. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Fantastic. Well, you were saying earlier about how hot it was there, and I was comparing. I sat here when we did a little test run. I was sat here with a scarf on because my office hadn't warmed up, and you were there in, like, what was it, 37 degrees or something?
Yeah, it was, and that was at well, no, it had been 38 degrees during the day. Well, I think when I was talking to you around about midnight here, I think it was still around about 27 degrees. I had the aircon on in the living room. Yeah. So not the Christmas just gone, the one before, we were sat having Christmas dinner with the aircon on, all the doors shut, the curtains drawn, and I think it peaked at about 42. Yeah, it was pretty intense that day.
Wow, on Christmas Day, that I can't wrap my head around that.
Most Australians I know, they'll have their Christmas dinner will be cold meats, not a full English like what we have. But yeah, every year we still have a full English. The roast, the turkey, the potatoes, and all sat there in our shorts, sweating everyone off it. It's like some bad episode of Benidorm,
Yeah. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions coming in. I've got a bunch of questions anyway, but I'm going to try and keep up with the chat.
Okay. I can't quite see the chat now, and I'm feared to death of pressing any buttons in case I disappear.
You should be fine. The window you're in now, you can slide to one side if you want to see the little chat window, but it's up to you.
Right.
I know that fear of not touching anything when it's working. Don't worry. Yeah. Steve Green was in and and says, "Hi Nick and Rod. Question: does he live anywhere near home and away? Can I live with Rod?"
No, apparently they filmed Home and Away in New South Wales, so that's next state down. Okay. I've never been.
Hi Heather, how are you? If you've just joined us, I see numbers are picking up. A lot of people are just popping in, getting in from work and stuff. I'm here with Rod, who has a YouTube channel. There should be a link below for that. I'll drop the link in the chat now as well, so you can just. Oh no, that's okay. That's the link to the live. Let me get rid of that one.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah. Is it gone? I think I tried to delete that. Anyway, okay, I don't have the link to Rod's channel. It is in the description below, so you should be able to pop over there. So how did you get involved with the YouTube community? I mean, were you reselling before you found the community? What's the story with how you got to know us, bunch of crazies?
I think I've always wheeled and dealed, as they say, even at school. I always had a little side thing going on, and I'd always done eBay in the UK when it came to the UK. But when it came over to Australia, I just decided to carry it on as a side, make a bit of money on the side. And I think it was about 4 years ago, I was sat outside the works car park I was at, and I just looking at selling on eBay or something or other, and one of your videos popped up. And just took it from that. I think Zahir was just starting at the same time on YouTube, but I've only done YouTube videos for about the past year. It's to be honest, it was a bit of an effort. The person who eventually persuaded me to do a video was Caroline off Celtic Traders.
Oh yeah.
I used to watch her. Oh, I still do watch her channel. And she was, do a video, and it was down to Caroline that I started doing videos.
Yeah, oh, she's lovely. We had the pleasure of meeting up with Caroline and Phil, and they're so lovely. Really, what you would imagine in person, exactly what you see on the videos is what you get. It was such a great night. We're hoping to go and stay down in Wales and catch up with them again soon, which would be fantastic.
All right, yeah. I struggle. I know people. Oh, cat, get away. It was a cat. Just I know some people, especially over here, struggle with my accent sometimes. But I do have to. It's only recently I've kind of fully tuned into Caroline's the Welsh accent. I was finding a little bit hard to get to grips with. Yeah. Sorry, Caroline, if you're watching.
I haven't seen her in, but I know she does tend to catch these up. So hi, Caroline, if you watch this later. I was going to ask them, we touched on reselling there. So are you part-time reselling? What's the setup with the reselling?
Well, I was full-time up until about 6 months ago. For the last 2.5, well, prior to 6 months ago, 2.5 years, I was doing it full-time. Right. But financial things changed. You've got to remember is Australia. Well, this is my interpretation of it. Australia is absolutely huge for a start, and there's probably about 23 million people live here. You compare that to the UK. There's probably that many people live in London, I would imagine.
Yeah, 60 million in the UK, and the UK is a fraction of the whole of Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they reckon you can fit the UK into Victoria, the state of Victoria, 9 times or something. I'm not sure. Yeah. So you've got a huge market. You know, you've got all of Europe and what have you to post to customer base. Over here, there's still only 23 million of us, and the post is quite expensive. It's really expensive. We've not got the that I know of the luxury of is it My Hermes? I see a lot of you guys talking about My Hermes. You know, them type of alternative couriers.
Yeah, I suppose is that literally because of the geography, because it's such a vast space. You're talking a lot more fuel, a lot more man hours to get the item to the people, or what's the issue?
I think that's probably the root cause of it, but I think there's a strong element of greed as well.
Right.
You know, I mean, what I find so frustrating, and a guy I speak to regularly over here who's full-time reseller, a guy called Andrew. We find frustrating is you can get a parcel delivered to my doorstep from China for like pennies. The Australia Post and China Post seem to have this handshake agreement. Yeah, if I want to send that same parcel from, say, Brisbane to Sydney, you know, it saves a weight of no more than 500 grams. It's going to cost me just over $8, and for me to send it to abroad, to the UK, would cost me about $29. So, you know, what's that? It's about 15 quid. I'm not sure. It's so expensive.
So is eBay big down there? I've got no concept of how is eBay a big deal domestically in Australia?
Yeah, I think this is another thing as well. I remember Amazon in the UK, and I know it was 10 years ago, and I would imagine a lot of things have changed how you operate within Amazon. But they've only recently started, I think in middle of last year, to have an Amazon in Australia. But to be honest, all intents and purposes, they may as well pack up and go home. It's an absolute disgrace. I see a lot of people on YouTube advertising, join my course, I'll tell you how to make a fortune on Amazon Australia, and well, you know, the only people making any money out of it at the moment are the people selling them courses. I think I've sold one item. You know, it's eBay is so ingrained.
Is Amazon big as a company themselves? Is it just like other sellers on Amazon not struggling? Do you think has Amazon taken off down there?
I think it'll take a good few years for Amazon to get some kind of a solid foot through the door in Australia. They promised, there was a lot of pomp and ceremony about it opening and what have you, and it's just not delivered at all. You can't sell any used items on. Can you sell used items on Amazon in the UK?
Oh yeah.
Well, you can't in Australia. It's all brand new. They're saying they're not opening the door for used items just yet.
Right.
I mean, everything I do still have quite a bit of stuff on Amazon, but it's like there's no traction. I think eBay is too ingrained in the psyche of the buyer over here. It's like the go-to place, you know.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it feels in the UK that Amazon's really going great guns and eBay are trying to keep up. That's how it feels. I may be wrong, but that's how it's felt for quite a while. And Amazon is absolutely huge here now. And I think, I mean, maybe going back to when you said the issues and the expense that the postal system costs in Australia, that's not going to help Amazon because they're all based on fast, cheap delivery.
Well, there was when they first said they was opening Amazon down here, they was saying, "Oh, we'll promise next day delivery." Well, you know, I'd like to know how they're gonna, if somebody buys something in Brisbane on the East Coast, and if someone sells something in Brisbane on the East Coast, and somebody buys it in Perth, which is like on the a million miles away, how are they going to guarantee next day delivery?
Yeah, they can't.
You know,
it's not physically possible, is it?
Well, not for the price they want to offer. You know, I think it's something like a 7-hour flight. You know, and you're still within the same country. You know,
it's a different world. It totally is. I mean, we forget, I think, selling in the UK, you know, the postal service, we moan about it a lot, don't get me wrong, but you know, we can send for a flat rate anywhere in the UK and first class, it should get there next day, you know. We forget how lucky we have it, really, I think.
I mean, it's I've not got many recollections of using the Royal Mail when I was selling 10 years ago on eBay. I do remember I was quite happy with it, price wise and service wise. You know, I saw one of your videos the other day about when you threw a parcel behind your head and it, you know, landed on the foot.
Yeah, with a mug in it.
I think any country you're in, you're going to get some bad element in the post office that brings the whole post office down. But regards the experiences I had with price and service when I was using it, it seemed okay. The service over here is great. I won't knock the service. It's just the price. I think they need to address the price. You know,
maybe they need more competition. I was just going to read a few bits. Pete was asking, who do you watch on YouTube?
Is that I can't see the chat. Sorry, guys.
Peter Ray was asking, who do you watch?
I watch Peter. I was watching him before. He's did he go seeing some band in the UK? I don't know who they are.
He's a big music fan. Yeah, he's often up seeing bands. Yeah,
I was watching his video before. I used to. So your friend Tom. I've not watched many of his videos recently. I remember 4 or 5 years ago when I was first watching the videos. He used to do a segment in his show, the Dickhead of the Week.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed that because I kind of had some affinity with him for his frustrations of idiots you have to deal with, you know.
Yeah, he should do a weekly one, I think. He could make a whole channel based on that. I know I'd watch them all.
Excuse me.
I just wanted to read Chris is in. Hi, Chris Evans says, hi, Nick. I've had to give up working due to ill health. Sorry to hear that, mate. And just started selling on eBay. Love your channel. Helped me out a lot. I watch most nights. Well, thank you. That means a lot. That's the whole point, really. So yeah, I hope you're well or getting better. Right. Oh, Karin's handed in a tax return. We're doing ours next week. That'll be fun. I've left it all to the last minute.
Yeah, our tax year is different to the UK. I've not done mine from last year yet. I've
right.
got to get me in gear.
Purple Vamp says, I thought Rod was going to be Australian.
Sorry, that was a big letdown, aren't I? That's the story of my life.
Where were you based in the UK when you were back here?
I was born in, well, they say Manchester as a broad base.
Yeah.
There's a town in Lancashire called Rochdale.
Yeah.
And there's a little town sort of buried at the side of it called Haywood. And I'm originally from Haywood, but no one knows where Haywood is.
I know Rochdale, but that's where it's not. Yeah. Okay. But do you miss UK? Is UK in your head still home, or do you not miss it back here?
Of late, no, I don't miss it. I still yearn for just popping down the pub with, my mates from school.
Yeah.
And just having a pint with them. But you move on. Life's always changing. If you always look back, you never go forward. So, it's I do miss certain elements still, but not enough to take me back to the UK. I couldn't go back now anyway. My lad's, well, my eldest, he's an apprentice now, so their life's firmly ingrained here. So.
And well, that's as you were saying before, that was kind of the point of the exercise. So if they're happy and doing well, then that's fantastic.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt.
I wanted to touch a bit on reselling, obviously, because that's the main thing we have in common. So what sort of stuff, as I said before, if you just joined us, we've got 116 people in, so welcome. Chatting with Rod, who is a reseller down under. Let's touch a bit on that. What sort of stuff do you sell? Where do you source it from? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much everything that you guys seem to sell. Your clothing, your media, collectibles, pretty much the same kind of, well, other people's cast-offs, isn't it? It's you just every time you go into a charity shop, it's like it's just like you're buying other people's throwaways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's stuff that people don't see any value in anymore, and we are hopefully able to see the value in it. And
I think people do see the value in it. I just think they're too bone idle to do anything about it.
Well, yeah, there is that. So you're not a specialist in any area?
Oh God, no.
Because a recent video might say otherwise, because you bought a van load of vacuums.
Oh yeah, the Dysons.
Yeah. So what's all that about?
Well, a few years ago, the wife had she still got it, a Dyson vacuum cleaner, and it started to clog up. And some engineer wanted a boatload of money to fix it. I thought, I'm not paying all that out. So I stripped it apart and then wondered how I was going to get it back together. It was just a million pieces.
Yeah.
But a bit of perseverance and the threat of a brand new Dyson hanging over my head was, more than enough. And I put it back together and it worked great. It still goes now. And somebody was selling one because they didn't know how to clean it out. And I thought, all right, I'll do that. Anyway, I cleaned it out and sold it on Facebook. Yep. And I think I paid about $50 for this Dyson. This is a good few years ago. And I sold it on a Facebook market. No, it wasn't marketplace then. It was the groups. And I think I got about $220 for it. I thought, wow, this is easy money. Yeah. And over the Christmas period, there was a clearing auction site which had received an absolute mountain of returns from there's a big store over here called big chain called Harvey Norman. They're an electrical and homeware kind of place.
Yeah.
And there was all returns, and I was picking these Dysons up for literally and this is no exaggeration, $2, $3, $4 a piece.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I was scooping them up. But I think the reason being was it was the day of New Year's Eve, if that makes any sense. And I think people had forgotten these Dysons were being auctioned off, and as soon as the sort of morning ticked away, people must have jumped on and they started going up in price. So I managed to get about 10 of them before the floodgates opened, and they all went crazy money. Wow. But they were all in New South Wales, and I had to ship them up here. And the post lady was none too pleased.
Yeah. That sounds great, though. So are you hoping to get these working and sell them for a premium, or are you going to part them, or a bit of both? What's the plan?
Bit of both. I've already tested a couple of them just randomly, and they work. They just need the filters cleaning. Dyson have this thing about you never need to clean the filters. They should be taken to court and sued.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
It's rubbish. You need to clean. They even sell filters as spare parts. So why sell a filter if you don't need to clean?
Yeah, and if you don't have to clean a filter, then surely it's not working, because a filter takes particles out of the air. So where's it going? If you know what I mean, it makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, we got a Dyson out of this big haul that Andrea loves, and we're going to keep. So our old one, which is now like 15 years old, I thought, well, that won't have any value, and they still sell. It's a DC04, I think it is, and that's
is that an upright?
Yeah.
Yeah, the yellow and grey upright. It's sad that I know the numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, because I bought that second hand from it was on eBay, but it was a guy in Luton, which is near us, and I bought it for like 20 quid about 10 years ago. Christ. And it's still worth some money now, and I'm just going to flog it. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I personally don't like Dysons, which is ironic. I always have this argument with the missus that Dyson made this product, and people could see the muck spinning around, and they were psychologically thinking, oh my god, look at all this, it's vacuuming up. Whereas other vacuums, it was all enclosed, you couldn't see it. Anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I've already sold a few bits and pieces off the haul. I've listed a few already on eBay, but I've sold a few bits on Marketplace.
Yeah,
Facebook. Yeah,
there was an interesting video. Go and check that out. I think it was the last video you uploaded.
I'm not sure. Probably, yeah.
So what?
Because I did sorry.
Out of interest, how much are you in that big haul of Dysons for, including the shipping cost, which I guess was a fair bit?
I think it's around about $285. So half that, and you've got your pound, roughly, and that's for all of them delivered.
Okay,
so I should make it.
Yeah.
A ton of money. Yeah.
So if you call it 150 quid, and how many Dysons did you get for that?
10.
Wow.
I'll say 9, because one of them it's like, I think it was the one Noah used to clean the ark out before they set off. It's so old, it's absolutely ancient. It's like, oh Jesus, it's like, some of that busted Dalek. It's horrible.
I'm just going to dip in the chat again. Oh, apparently George is going to start making videos. Is that right, George? You have to let me know when you do that. Brisbane AU was saying about, where are we? I've got to scroll back. I missed the pubs as well. You don't get the British pub in Australia, he says.
Well, no, you don't where I am. And the beer is, this is one thing I found. It was the first thing I noticed when I came here. It was the price of a pint. It's quite expensive.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And what's the price of, say, a pint of Stella in the UK now?
Depends a lot on the pub you're in, but £3 or £4.
All right, so it's pretty much the same. And I must be a tight sort, because I remember it was about £1.90 for a pint when I left.
Oh,
so.
you'd struggle to get that now.
Weatherspoons,
yeah, the old Weatherspoons. They managed to do some of the beers a bit cheaper, but even there, you're looking at sort of $2.50 or something. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I tend to have the bitters when I'm in there, but yeah.
My friend, a friend of mine, his dad used to be the landlord of my local back in the UK, and he's out here now. He's been here 7 years, but he lives in Perth, and he says there is. I think they call it Little Britain in Perth because there's that many British expats there, and it's very. The pubs are quite, when there's football on, they call it. My mate Andrew is always calling it soccer. They call it soccer, or I can't call it. It's football, and there's a lot of pubs over that way. He says, like, he's a Manchester United fan, and he says there's pubs over that way that are actually like you have in the UK. When you go on match day, there'll be pubs that have one team. But where I live, no, it's mainly rugby league over here, this side of the country.
Oh, okay. What about Aussie Rules? I've watched that and I can't even get my head around it. Have you followed that?
I haven't a clue.
I've
been to a couple of the matches. My cousin lives in Adelaide in South Australia, and we went down there and watched a couple of matches. But I don't know what's going on. But you've got to admire the fitness levels of them guys. They're non-stop.
Yeah, they run miles and miles, don't they? Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, just YouTube Aussie Rules football, and it's like cross between American football, rugby, and football. I don't know what it is really. It's just crazy.
My mate Andrew over here, he told me it was I think it was him who told me it was based on Gaelic football.
Oh, okay.
Well, apparently back in the day, the Irish community, the immigrants or something, wanted to play a version of game, but they wouldn't allow them an area to play on, so they had to play on the local cricket pitch, which is the oval, and they kept that on. The Aussie Rules football ground is an oval shape. If there's an actual Australian on here, please put me right if I'm wrong. I don't want to make myself look a complete tool. But well, they play mainly down in Victoria. It's very big in Victoria, Aussie Rules. But like I say, Queensland, it's rugby league pretty much all the way.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose for me, I forget the colossal size of Australia. So you have very distinct regions and I guess distinct sports that are popular in different parts. I was just reading that George, apparently everyone's subbing to George's channel to force him to make a video. So everyone file over to George's channel with no videos on it and sub. Okay. Karen says, my nephew went to Australia 2 years ago to play semi-pro rugby. He now has a job, house, girlfriend and dog and is staying there. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got. So if you've joined us late, we've still got 122 in. Welcome. Please pop any questions you have in. Okay, I think I've got to the end. So I remember seeing a video of yours a while back where you were doing the whole buying a storage locker that had not been paid for. How did that pan out? I remember seeing you did a video where you were rummaging around and clearing it out. How did that pan out?
I've had a few storage lockers. It's nothing like, I mean, you watch the American YouTubers and it's very, very glamorous, isn't it? Like especially the TV show. That wasn't the case I had with my last one. Oh my God.
What did you find in there?
Oh, well, there was, I didn't pay a lot of money for the unit. I think I paid about $400 with the taxes and fees. I donated a good 30% of it. It was just, there was a lot of plates and pottery and I've no time for selling it. I mean, I'm not hanging around with one Wedgwood plate for 5 years on the off chance someone's dropped one. and they want mine. You know, I just gave them all to a charity shop and what have you. But I think I've sold about 20% of what I kept was saleable items, and I'm up to about $1,300. But there was just, I had to put a pair of gloves on in the end, going through some of the boxes. It was there's a few nappies, shall we say.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah, or diapers, nappies, whichever the word is. I'm not forgotten.
So was it effectively the contents of someone's house? What did it look like? Someone had to move in a hurry, or I often wonder how this stuff ends up in those lockers and why they don't keep up with the payment. You know, there must be a story behind every one. Was it like the whole contents of someone's house then?
No, there was a lot of paperwork in there which pointed to the they were opening a pop-up shop somewhere. Right. I'd never heard of a pop-up shop before. Basically, it just seemed like someone had decided to collect a load of. It was literally like a reseller's garage, and all your items, and they were going to do a market stall. Well, they were storing them in the storage unit, and they got behind with the payments.
Oh,
and they were warned and warned and warned, and in the end, they were just told, "Enough's enough. You know, we're auctioning your content. Hard luck."
Right. So it was somebody's stock, effectively, then, not their house content.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. But there were a few personal contents, and there was, like I say, there was one nappy. It wasn't used, but it was a bit unnerving when you're pulling it out, you know. And the one thing I've done a few storage units now. But the one thing that really hit home was I watched a video of Global Voodoos.
Yeah.
And needles, you know, druggies needles. So you're rummaging around in boxes. You got to be careful. You know, it's something I think people don't think about. You know, you might get in a bargain, but end up with AIDS in the process. You know?
Absolutely. I remember a long time ago, I worked briefly for as a contractor to the electricity board, and I used to have to go and inspect electricity substations and clear them out. And we had to have like special training for dealing with needles, because you'd find everything in electricity substations. You imagine what goes over that fence? We used to have to deal with it. And it's worth having in the back of your mind, definitely, because you don't want to put yourself on a needle.
I mean, there's 4 boxes I've not even opened yet. I'm pretty fortunate in where I live. I know you were saying on one of your videos a few weeks ago or days ago about storage. You know, there was a discussion about how you store things, and Zahir has changed his house around for his storing his cars. I've not really got an issue with storage. I've got a double garage, and there's a container at the side, you know, so I'm pretty okay in that aspect. But I just piled everything in, and there's about 4 or 5 boxes which I haven't actually looked in yet, and I don't want to yet. I just want to try and plow my way through and get rid of stuff. You know, I've 2 old gramophones that I've got to get rid of. You know, the old, like a wooden sideboard thing you used to get.
Yeah. With it built in, with one built in.
Yeah. And I don't think they're worth a huge amount of money. But you know, it might just be firewood at the end of the day. I don't know. But,
exactly. Well, when you get into furniture, it's getting it from A to B, isn't it? The issue becomes, you know, how you transport it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So do you think storage lockers is something you're going to carry on with? I mean, okay.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's a very, like you with your recent haul, it's a quick way of getting a lot of stock at a cheap price. You know, rather than pounding the streets in the different charity shops and just, you know, picking the odd DVD off or shirt off a rack, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of time involved if you're going to get all your stock from charity shops, because you know as well as I do, sometimes you'll go in 3 in a row and you'll pick up nothing, and it's like, well, that's an hour and a half of my time I'm never getting back. Whereas like you say, you get a haul and that can be 100 items you've picked up in one hit.
and you never need to go out for a few months. You've got plenty of stock, and your time is, I would imagine, best utilised that way. You're not wasting fuel, time, and
exactly.
Yeah.
But then it's not for the faint-hearted either, going for a big haul. And as you've just said, you have to deal with all the stuff you don't want and the crap that comes with it as well.
Well, that storage unit was in a place called Toowoomba, which is about 3/4 of an hour drive west of where I live. And my two lads helped me. I had to do 3 trips on the ute. It's like a pickup. And on the last trip, I saved all the rubbish till the end, and I just loaded that up, and I just dumped it all at the tip, and a few bit and a lot of the stuff at the charity shops on the way down. I was trying to make best use of my time, but I think I spent about best part of $100 in fuel getting it backwards and forwards. But now it's all here. It's starting to make some good money.
Yeah, exactly. That it is a consideration if you get into the big hauls, because to get the last haul I got, I had to hire a van, which was pushing about £100 for the day, and the fuel on top, and I had to go down and pick up the rest of it, and that was another £20-30 in fuel. So it does add up. But yeah, for me, it works out time wise, definitely. I was just going to say, I knew a girl from Australia. And she lived over here for a while and went back, and she was really into charity shops, and she used to call them op shops. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that a term? Yeah.
Yeah, they call them op shops. I think it stands for opportunity.
Sure. Oh right, I was never sure what that meant.
Yeah, the main one over here. There's a lot of them. I know in the UK you must have your main charity shops, and then you've got like offshoots of various organizations, but the main one over here is called Lifeline, and there's one called Vinny's, St. Vincent's, and then you've got the Red Cross, and just these sort of weird ones for dogs, and that just seem to pop up, some weird charity, and just but yeah, op shops. You call them thrift shops in the US, op shops over here, and charity shops in the UK. So
and they're all basically exactly the same.
Yeah.
Treasure was asking earlier, let me just scroll back. Talking about spiders, what's the biggest spider you've seen? That's one thing Brits always think about when you talk about Australia with spiders. It always comes up.
When we were in the UK and we was coming over, I must admit, all I ever heard about was spiders under the toilet seat. Funnel webs, and I've never seen one, but I think they're more towards Sydney way. Them, I'm not too sure. We had a few snakes in the garden. Yeah, the first year we were here, there was a snake. Apparently, it was a tree snake, and it was up at we live in they call them a low set, but it's basically a bungalow, and the bedroom window is about, I don't know, a good 1.5 feet off the ground level, and the wife opened the curtains, and there's this snake at the window doing this.
No way. Oh my God.
My eldest lad, his friend, was staying over at the time. He says, "Oh, it's only a tree snake," and he went out and picked it up and just put it in a tree. But I was nowhere to be seen that day. I was, all you could see was the bottom of my shoes running away. But we have a few nasty snakes in and around because I live in the country. There's a lot of brown snakes. Get bit off one of them, it's a day out with the Undertaker. Yeah.
Wow.
So you just got to be more mindful of where you're stepping. And like the garage, I've got all this stuff stored away in there in boxes. I'll give the box a kick before I put my hands in, just in case something's gone in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So if you don't see any video
box, you just make him angry.
If all of a sudden my videos stop, I've probably been bitten. I mean, either in the hospital or 6 foot under, one of the two. It's spiders. No, I've no problem with spiders. But,
yeah. Okay, there was a question I saw as well. Starley was asking, what would you have shipped over when you left to resell if you could have, under the assumption it wouldn't take 3 months and thousands of Australian dollars to ship. So yeah, I'm not sure what he means. What would you have shipped over from the UK to resell down there, I guess, is what he's saying.
I'd have to have a think about that one, but one of the most obvious choices would be because we're region 4. Well, I don't know what region the UK is now. I forgot. Is it 2?
2.
I'm not sure. 2. But video games, a UK video game will play in Australia. It's the same.
I get a lot of business from Australians with video games.
I'm not surprised because they are so those, if you want to call them rare, but those games which you've probably got an abundance of in the UK, which maybe weren't released over here, you probably get good money for them. So I think, without thinking too much about it, video games would be the one I would do.
Yeah.
If there's any, people in the UK selling video games, I would certainly, I'm probably going to incur the wrath of my mate Andrew now because he sells a lot of video games, but I would certainly open up the option to ship into Australia.
Yeah, I've said the same thing before, and I do my own international shipping down there, and a lot of stuff goes, a lot of PlayStation stuff goes down there, and vintage stuff. I guess, like you were saying, that didn't come out, but runs on an Australian machine. So no.
I bought a GameCube game about a year ago from a guy in the UK. I paid literally about the equivalent of £9, even with the shipping to get it over here, which I found crazy. And I sold it over here for around about $40, which is about 20-ish pound, plus the shipping on top as well. So I was like, what do you call it, sniping?
Yeah.
Trying to get cherry pick games over there to bring over here to sell over here, you know. But yeah. So yes, video games would be the one.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you could, I mean, there must be a way. I mean, maybe we could sort something out. If you know certain titles that are common here, I could hoover them up for you, and we could do a deal where I send them in bulk. You know what I mean? If they're not,
there was a guy in the other day on one of your chats. He was saying something about he lived in the UK, but he sold, I don't know, he sold Australian stuff in the UK, and he was struggling getting holds. I don't know, something.
Yeah, he was maybe thinking he needed a contact like possibly yourself to help out. I don't know what that was, but yeah, if you're in and you know what we're talking about, just drop a message. Brisbane AU asks, hey Rod, you know those council roadside collections they do in Australia? Do you ever get anything from them? I used to pick stuff out of them when I walked from the bus home, free stock. Now, I've been watching a channel called E-Waste Ben, who is a scrapper, but he also resells a bit on the side, and he's into his PCs and scrapping out PCs. And he goes on these days where, well, you'll probably describe it better, but essentially there's a mountain of hard waste on the side of the road, and people just pick through it and take the stuff out. Do you have that in your area?
Where I live, no.
Oh, okay.
It is an option. I just think people are too tight to throw it out on the road. Even the rubbish they won't part with. But in Brisbane, it's a curbside collection. I think it was a way of making sure stuff went to the tip rather than just being fly tipped initially. So they just put it out on the road. But I don't think I think each state might be different, but I'm not too sure if it's illegal to actually take it from the side of the road. I think you've got to ask the person who owns the house, can we take this? And then you can, I think it's illegal just to pick it up and do one with it.
Okay.
But I've got friends who've done it. Yeah, they've picked stuff up and give it a bit of a clean up and sold it. Yeah.
I mean,
I've personally not done it, no.
The guy I follow, E-Waste Ben, he's got a channel on YouTube, and he does it and does really well out of it. And I've seen him pick up, vintage Walkmans and vintage electronics that, full well you could flip on eBay for, a small fortune. It's amazing. It's just sat on the curb. It's wow.
Well, the other day I noticed in one of the conversations on your Facebook group, someone was mentioning about a tip shop. And a couple of people were saying, what's a tip shop? We've got them over here. And basically it's a section of the local tip, and some of the items can be resold, so they sell them through there, and the money goes to charity. I get a hell of a lot of my sourcing from a couple of local tip shops.
Okay.
And you pick it up for pennies, and you make a ton of money. So it might sound a bit cliche, but I suppose you just got to be a bit creative, haven't you, where you're getting your stock from?
Absolutely, and it'll be different for everybody, because the couple of tip shops that are local to me, they're full of rubbish, and it's overpriced rubbish. Yeah, I know. But like you've just said, you do well, and I know a couple of people that do fantastically well out of their local tip, to the point where a friend of mine takes them crates of beer and chocolate and stuff to butter them up, and asks them to save the good stuff, which is a very clever idea if you want to go down that road.
Well, I know pretty well one of the guys who runs one of the tip shops. I have to be careful what I say. But basically, he'll give me a phone call, and say, hey, there's a quantity of stuff coming. One of the local councils had a refit in the offices, and they donated all their stuff to this particular tip shop. And there was wireless microphones, brand new, still in the box. And they were just getting rid of it. Oh, buy new stock, spend the taxpayers' money. And I went in, and I made didn't make a fortune, but I made a small fortune on all this, like these projectors which they used in presentations, and these ones you link to your laptops and think, oh yeah. But I picked it up for peanuts, and it's just, I know a lot of people don't like, when they're going around charity shops, and they're very careful scanning things, and it doesn't bother me. I actually, most of the charity shops I go in now, they know what I do, and they're quite happy. Yeah, well, they're quite happy with that openness, and they even put stuff to one side. And if they're getting, they get the stuff for free anyway. So if they know they've got somebody who they can just not so much call or just shout over when they're in the shop, they'd get rid of it straight away. Yeah, they're happy. Don't be afraid of talking to the people who are behind the counter.
Exactly. I mean, I've said it before, most of the really good deals I've ended up with have been through contacts. I've not stumbled across it. It's through getting to know somebody or talking about what you do. I mean, I don't tend to be that open about it, really, but most of the good deals, as you've just explained, if you hadn't got that contact at the tip, you wouldn't have made that deal and got all of that electronic equipment. And it's all about putting yourself out there, and I should do it more, but it's not necessarily my comfort zone, really, that part of it. I find that difficult still, all these years in. It's weird.
Yeah, it just doesn't bother me so much. Did it the first, but not now.
I just wanted to read, Bumcrack Picker is in. Hi there. It says they should call them op shops in the UK, overpriced. And then who is it? Yeah, Chris says you obviously go to the wrong charity shops. How are we doing for time? Oh wow, look, 54 minutes we've been going. How time flies. Oh, someone's saying hi, Caroline and Phil. Are they in then? I can't see them on my screen. I think Caroline and Phil are in, but I can't actually see them. So welcome if you're in. Oh yeah, let's go with the Johnsons. They're logged in on their new channel.
Oh yeah, I saw Caroline walking around a beach picking up rusty pipes the other day. I don't what. She's going to have to answer this sooner or later, but they're supposed to be downsizing, aren't they, to go travelling around in a camper van, and she's picking up lead pipes off the beach. What's she going to do with it all? Sorry, but can you?
Yeah, let us know, Caroline. Where are you putting all this stuff?
Turning into scrap metal.
Oh, Caroline or Phil, let us know who it is. Says you can't beat a rusty pipe. Oh, hi, Sophia. Sophia B says, "Hi Nick, my first time watching you live. Love the videos. Thank you." Oh yeah, and they've said waiting for scrap. You'd have to pick a lot of bits of scrap pipe off the beach to make that work out. It's Caroline. Hi Caroline, how are you doing? All right, let me see if I had any more questions. We've kind of covered them all just chatting, really. This is what usually happens. I was going to ask, we touched on earlier that about international markets. How much of your stuff do you sell international? Is that a big part of your business? No,
not really. I very rarely send stuff overseas. I had somebody from South Korea buy something out of the storage unit the other day. They never paid, and I don't even know how they managed to buy it, or at least complete that part of the sale. Because my option on all my things, I don't ship overseas, so I don't know how they managed to. How did they do that? Because I've seen a few people mention that.
I don't know. It's frustrating.
Someone said they sign on under, say they're in Korea in that example, they'll sign on under the Australian eBay and buy it through there rather than their own. I don't know. But I never paid. But no, I very rarely send anything overseas. I had someone want to buy a sweatshirt off me in Russia. Well, that was a non-starter. We've not got the global shipping program over here.
Right. Okay.
I mean, you guys can send stuff over here on that program, but we can't. We've not got that option at all. So,
yeah, maybe they'll be looking at doing that because that would really benefit eBay down there. I think because you were saying that international post as well is quite expensive, right? So if they offered that, maybe that'd help.
There is a big between the UK and the Australian eBay. There is a big disparity with the services each offer. The UK version, in my opinion, does get a hell of a lot more options, etc., than we do.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Caroline's asked a question there. Have you ever sold to the UK?
Oh yeah. A few years ago when I did have that option to sell overseas, but I think it'd have to be something unusual because most of the stuff people can get in the UK, you can get over here, they can get in the UK. So it'd have to be something that was unique, I would imagine. It's no one in the UK is going to buy a pair of jeans off me and pay the shipping for a pair of jeans. It's why would you? Yeah.
Exactly. And then before we're going to wrap this one up soon because we've been on nearly an hour, believe it or not. I just wanted to touch on. You mentioned earlier your other half. Is she part of the business? Does she get involved? And if not, does she understand what you do? And how does she put up with it?
She's very tolerant. She's not involved with it. No, she doesn't want to know it at all. She's got her own job, her own thing. But over the years, I have caused her some levels of stress with the stuff I've bought. One case in point, when we was in the UK, I used to do a lot of car boot sales. I think it was called Clitheroe, and I bought some bubble blowing machines off this guy in Bradford, and they were rejects. There was from Boots, and there was a purple coloured triangle called Felicity Wishes or something. It was a girl's thing, and it was motorized and blew bubbles out of this star. And I did a deal where I bought all these things, and they had a fault. There was a pin that had come out and it stopped the arms moving. And I had to strip them all down on the kitchen table and pop this pin back in so I could sell them. But there was 500 of them.
500?
Yeah.
Wow.
When she came, I sort of pre-warned her. I rang her up and said, "Look, when you come in the house, can you come through the back door?" And she says, "Why?" I said, "You won't be able to get in the front." And they were all stacked high. You couldn't sit down. The living room it was like Boots' warehouse. It was just full of it. It was in the loft. It was in the garage, friends' houses, everything.
Wow.
I sold them, pretty much all of them, at the car boot sales. And when the the trick to it was when the guys were walking past with the daughters, I'd just set them off and start blowing bubbles, and the girls and daughters would come on.
Yeah.
So
that's a classic Del Boy moment. Filling the house with broken bubble blowers.
she did say to me when I got them, she said it's like that episode where he bought the Chinese dolls, the spoke Chinese. So, yeah, I've given some cause for concern over the years, but it's, he who dares.
Exactly. And it's funny because we've had many moments like that where we filled the house full of van loads of stuff, and Andrew gives me that look of, you can put it in the living room for like today and it moves tomorrow, and I push my luck just as far as I can. But I'm lucky that Andrew, of course, is part of the business, so she understands, but I still push my luck way too far.
Oh dear.
Okay,
so she's no intention of getting involved with it. Likes to spend the money that comes with it.
Well, of course, yeah. Why not? Faulty bubble blowing machine, says Caroline. They blew wonky bubbles, apparently. Heartbreak High stuff sells for a fortune in England. Might be worth looking out for it, says Crap in the Attic. I don't know what Heartbreak High is, and maybe is that an Australian program? I don't know.
No idea. No idea. So.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this one up. We've been on for an hour, so I just want to thank you, Rod, for staying up. Remind us what time it is in Australia right now.
It's now 5 a.m. I'll go and get my lad up for work.
Wow, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been long overdue. I've really enjoyed getting to know a little bit about what you get up to down there, and we'll have to do this again sometime, or I'll guest on your channel if you like at some point.
I'll get you up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, when the Six Pack show in America was still going, I was guesting on there, and that started at 1, and sometimes they'd be like 2 or 3 hours long, and then they'll be like, chilling out 10 or 11 o'clock at night with a beer. And I'll be like, guys, I'm gonna go because it's 4 a.m. now. It's like, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, we forgot. So I do understand, but yeah. For those that are still watching, please go and check out Rod's channel. There should be a link below to that. I will try and drop the correct link in the side chat this time. There you go. So go over and show Rod some support on the channel. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for the questions. I hope we answered a few of those. And appreciate that, Rod. Hope it wasn't too painful for you.
No, I was very, very nervous.
That was great. Really enjoyed it. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And thank
you very much. And, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Appreciate that. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Right, take care.